Hello everyone and welcome for another video of Love and Wargames. In this video we are doing our very first unboxing and Tactica for Warmachine, and we're going to cover the first boxes that have been released for the new Cryx faction. So there is going to be the Cryx command starter, which arrived for me like this. So well, I guess it's like they're changing. As you know, Steel Forge Games has bought back the old producer, so of course there is going to be a time where marketing, well, it's like this, but at least they sent us something. I hope it's not empty. We'll see that. And then we're going to get the Battlegroup Box set. I think they're making this new standard model where you're going to have this very generic box, whichever the size, and there is just this little page that they put in the front where they just say like this is what it is, and if you want to know the content you need to scan this QR code. So for those of you who are just joining us on this channel, we do this type of videos in two times. So first we're going to make an unboxing, taking a look at the models and everything. And then in the second part of the same video, you can skip with the timestamp on the bottom, we are going to talk about like the Tactica and how you can use these different models. And then in the last part, like the little bonus round, how you can expand from there. Since Warmachine is quite well made in this, it's going to be very easy because there are really like little packs that you can make, and it's really made so you buy first the command starter, then the Battlegroup box, and then if you want more there is a little extra that you can buy as well. But it's really made like you don't choose really the models you want, you have these little pre-made boxes, and that is how it is. I think it's quite good because the game is quite complex. I'm still discovering the game, and if you want to play competitively there is a lot of things to do. Disclaimer, as you have seen in our first Warmachine battle report, I am not an expert on the game at all yet. So I did ask on the French Discord some information about Cryx, so thanks for them for helping me to make this unboxing and Tactica as faithful as possible to the real tactic that you can use with them. I'm still learning. If you see that I make a big mistake, tell it in the comments for sure, so I can correct it and make a time, like explain to other players how it is supposed to be played. But still, let's do our best. Let's first do the unboxing and then the Tactica. So we have indeed those 4 boxes. I'm pretty sure like all but one is empty, and yeah, that's how it's going to be. Okay, this one is not empty. And let me just check. Feels like Christmas. I have no idea which box I should open first. Let's try the first one. Okay, it's empty, this one. And probably this one is empty as well. Again, when you will receive the box yourself at home, it's probably not going to be like this. Like I expect you not to have white boxes. Well, it feels like Christmas, I guess. And we begins with this. Who is it going to be? I actually don't know. Let's take a look. As you know, and as was the case for the 4th edition of Warmachine, those are 3D printed miniatures actually with a resin that they made themselves. Quality was fine, like I didn't have problems, but I got into the game quite late. I know in the beginning there were some issues, never faced them myself, and they are Steam Forge Game going to switch back with the new 2-player starter sets that maybe we will receive, switch back to hard plastic. So we'll see that when it happens. Let's start with the very first model that we get. I'm gonna put this out of the way. Okay, this is going to be the Master Necrotech Chatterbane. I hope I say the right words, if I remember correctly. And I know Warmachine has been there for a while, but this really reminds me of Illuminosaurus from 40k. But that's because I'm an old Necron player, so of course I am biased in this, but I really like this appearance. This kind of like chittering, like spider-like appearance. The level of detail for 3D printing is good. I'm not sure, like I'm always so happy with this. Let me know what you think, but it seems to be good. The stick here, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be super straight or not. Let's just make it wiggle a little bit. Let's make a live stress test. Yeah. Guess you can make it straighter if you want. Yeah, you should be able to. The one thing that I'm a bit afraid, but you need to undercoat it to see better, is the face. Is it okay? Yeah, it looks okay. I really like the style of the weapon though. The art direction in Warmachine has always been for me like what made me jump into the game. As soon as I saw the Storm Legion, I was like, oh yes, I need. And of course, the Winter Corps of Cador then, and basically everything since. I will admit, I am not going to play myself Cryx. They're going to the player in the French community that made us the first battle report, like with us, to kind of like guide us. We still have Privity Press there. And yeah, so we expect him to fill them in a battle report soon-ish, like he needs to get those guys painted. And I, in the meantime, by the way, got some Men of Army painted by Yacinthe. And is that a Cador stuff? Okay, he's standing on a scenic Cador, or Hador if you pronounce it right, vestige, like a wreckage. Okay, that's quite interesting. This is a character. Everything that you will see in the box set, the command starter, is a character, so you no need to buy the box twice. It's only so you have a good entry point to start. There's a little clips here so it fits well. And so yeah, no need to buy it twice, but it means that they can go with the scenic base or whatever, because you will never have 2 copies of those models on the battlefield, which is interesting, and I quite like it for large skirmish game. Okay, nice looking guy, this Master Necrotech Chatterbane. We'll see in the Tactica, but basically he's a repair guy, let's say, like again, like Illuminosa. He boosts your big guys, he gives them bonuses, he can repair them, like it's quite useful. I'm saying this off the top of my memory, but for me that's what he does, and he really looks like, he looks the part to the job. Yeah, one thing that I said, but of course you get all the bases for every single model that you will get, and I always love the Privateer Press bases, like this kind of round with a little space here, like going up. I really like those bases. It's very enjoyable to move on the table. It's just a little bit harder to pick them up if you try, like if they're standing on the table, it's a little bit harder to pick them up, but apart from that, I really like the style. Okay, another miniature that we're going to get. Is it going to be the Warcaster? It looks like, because it is the smallest miniature for some reason, the Warcaster in this. We have, oh, I hope this is not broken. Okay, but yeah, first of all, it is the Warcaster, so the Wraithbinder Nekane, if I'm remembering correctly. Again, 3D printed. It looks, I hope you can see well with the camera, but the quality is good. By the way, I might have a new phone camera within some months, so probably a better quality then. It is 3D printed, so not much to say there. It makes it easier to have those, and they're quite resilient. Like, they don't feel like, even when you, like, I don't know if you see, but even if you push very hard, like, they feel resilient, even though they are little particle, like little wiggly tentacles going around. I don't think you will break this easily, like even if you were trying to, like what I'm doing. So that is quite good. I hope I will not break it, because I'm supposed to give it to someone at the end and he will not be happy otherwise. But yeah, I'm surprised what kind of resin they use. Like I do have quite a few 3D printed armies, especially smaller, like epic scales. I don't show them on the channel yet, maybe I should. This is really tough resin, very impressed. Like the art direction again, the pose is quite dynamic. And probably the thing that I said, is it broken, is probably just meant to go there somehow. Okay, after a little bit of trial, yeah, this is meant to go in the arm. I have no idea what this is 3D printed, and this appears to be either another type of resin. No, it's not plastic, I guess. But yeah, this goes here, and it makes the weapon, and it goes there. Why is it like this? I have no idea. But yeah, it will look like this in the end. Quite good, quite good. Again, we will not talk too much about the rules here, but the Wraithbinder Nekane, as the name suggests, boosts especially your ethereal units, such as the Furies that we'll see in a moment. And yeah, you have some good things. He or she actually, well, however they decide to identify, they can boost their spells, like they can send spells or boost an attack, etc. during their feat without spending focus, but they will take damage. So that is quite good. Reinforces the glass cannon aspect, because he has high defense but low armor. So be careful about that. And yeah, this is a good looking model, and I'm really excited to see it on the table. Okay, now we have a big box there. I suppose it is going to be the Furies. Let's open and have a look. Yeah, there is a lot of oh, it's absolutely not the Furies, it's the Hades. Okay, there are a lot of bits, but it is going to be what we are all here for, which is the giant mechs, of course, of Warmachine. So this is the Hades, and again, a character Warjack. So it means, like, again, look at the little battle report that we try to be didactic with, so you know, like, what they are, how they work, etc. But basically, this guy is going to, first of all, be very easy to build. I'm very happy of how they planned everything. You just need to clip it and cluck, and it holds. Of course, you're gonna want to put some glue and stuff, but okay, convenient. The Hades will, unlike other Warjacks, be quite independent, because he can be sent twice further away from the control range compared to like how you would normally do with the Warjacks. And first of all, wow, it looks like an absolute menace. It looks massive. I saw it on the pictures, but is it the Hades or the Malefactor? I thought, okay, well, still, this guy looks like such a threat with this huge hand weapon, which is absolutely massive. I can show you under, and this kind of cannon, which again, it's 3D printed, so it's not the best, but still it allows them to reduce costs, supposedly. And yeah, you can say whatever you want about the production style of those guys. Like maybe they made a mistake, maybe it would be better with plastic, okay, but the art direction is just splendid. Like nothing to say with this. So this is the Hades. I will show you the pieces like one by one, not entirely built. So you can see a bit better like what you think. Again, 3D printed, so it can change from one production box to another. But yeah, the amount of detail that they put like with this little ammunition, this, really love it. I know that it's more recent than the Cryx, but they always really remind me of the Hive on Destiny. Like especially when I see these type of cannons. Like I'm sorry, like this is the Hive. That makes me now want to start a Hive army. Like sorry, Cryx with a Hive color scheme. But no, let's stay focused. We are going to stay with Cador, Menoth, Signar, and all the other armies that we have too many of already. The Hades is especially useful to make some skirmishing and going to hunt enemy small units or characters or solos on the sides. So it's really more like a peripheral threat. We'll talk more about it, of course, in the Tactica. Okay, so this was one box for the command starter, and now the second box. And of course, there is going to be all the Furies in there. Okay, they're here, probably all of them in this single box. Let's open and then I can talk to you a bit more about who they are. So those are the Furies. They are already pre-built. There is a little bit of residue from 3D printing that you can see here, but not much. Like it's basically all of it. Hope it didn't make them lose any detail. And those are quite interesting in the sense they are unit. So kind of like any unit, but a character unit. Okay, interesting. And they're spellcasters. And they each of them have sometimes different spells and everything. We'll talk more in Tactica how to play them, but they are very powerful and quite important actually. They really allow the Cryx to like punch above their weight class. And wow, like the style of it. Like when you put them side by side like this, they look incredible. They actually, each of them have a little name like, well, I actually forgot. I'll just call them like Agatha and Wanda. But those are really like in-game witches. They have good capacity to send some spells, be annoying. They are boosted by their Wraithbinder Nekane because he gives them +2 or +3 to armor, which is important because those guys are ethereals as well as being undead. You can always have fun with the cape, with all the tissues there. They are a little bit different. It's not just the same guy printed twice, as you can see. They are very similar because they are supposed to be a unit, but they have different heads. I especially like this one that is kind of like shouting, screaming, with the mouth open like this. It reminds me of Razifon, like those mechs that were singing to send their spells and attacks. Like that's really looking great. With of course, you will want to put some fire effect on those finger flames there. You can do some cleaning between the fingers of resin residues, but maybe just very softly with a toothbrush or something so you don't break anything. And yeah, here also you see a little something to clean. And I really like the direction. Even their plastrons, is it in English? The front is very different. Here you can see they have each their own style. They really look like the three Morai from the Greek mythology as well. Great art direction again. I mean, I feel like this is something I will say every single time I open a box from Warmachine and now from a Steam Forged game. But the art direction is like insanely cool. I know there is a role-playing game of Warmachine. Fortunately, I don't play RPGs anymore, don't have time. But damn, that must be so great to play this in this universe. Of course, again, we will check their spells and how important they are because they are one of the centerpiece of Cryx. How these guys are played later on in the Tactica. So this was the command starter. We'll check now the second, the Battlegroup Box set, but the command starter, so what we've seen. So the Wraithbinder Nekane with the techno like Chatterbane. Hades, the giant robot, and the 3 Furies, it's 30 points already, and you can play a 30 points game with this. This is really how it was meant to be. Like, you can just buy this single box and start playing the game and have fun with a fun, like, let's say, balanced composition. We'll talk about the price more like in the beginning of the Tactica because it is expensive. Like, I will not lie, Warmachine is one of the most expensive war game around. Like, right there up with Games Workshop, which when you consider it's 3D printed might make you be a bit sad. Luckily they are going to switch to plastic, which makes it a little bit more reasonable, but the game is great. There is a great lore, great art direction, the rules are always updated, it's quite balanced. So do you want to pay this price for just like basically 6 miniatures? Well, it's up to you. We'll talk a bit more like if it's worth it or not. If you do order from Warmachine, there are a few shops, especially in France, where you can get some good discount. I think it's like 10 or 15%, and you absolutely should do that to kind of like reduce the cost, and so you can get a little bit more stuff. So this was the command starter, 30 points, and then there is this second box, the Battlegroup Box set that you can buy on top. You can technically play it on its own, I guess. I'm not sure it's very legal because you don't have any unit, but you have here 1 Warcaster and 3 Warjacks, 1 big, the Malefactor, and 2 small, I think they're called the Raptors, I need to check that. And we'll unbox this, but basically this is meant to be in complement to the first box that we just unboxed. You cannot play Wraithbinder and Nekane at the same time as this guy, except in very weird, like 2 caster scenarios. But it means you can have another playstyle completely because it will have another feat, so you can really switch the whole mentality and play off the list just by changing the leader, because you will have new spells and especially a new feat. Like, it really changes a lot how the game plays. Like, this is one of the first things I noticed when I started playing Warmachine. The Warcaster makes everything in the list, like in the sense of like really the core identity. It's like playing a new sub-faction almost. You have the Malefactor, which has a lot of options. This will take a while in the Tactica to check everything. And then the Raptors, which are a bit like more like, they're almost like a solos, like a units. Like they don't feel sometimes as Warjacks because of how weak they are. Okay, so you do indeed have just that. And then another white box. Okay, 3 of those. Probably the Raptors are together. Let's start, I guess, with the Warcaster, which is Eviscerator, Discerptor. Like, it has a very funky name. I mean, I know you are a bad guy, but why call yourself Discerptor, Eviscerator? Well, maybe he's a bit cartoony in his mind. And yeah, this is Discerptor Eviscerus, which is like, okay, I'm not commenting the name anymore. But I can comment how cool this guy looks. Oh my god. Look, he has, I don't understand how many legs it has even. Like, it looks like a sick, semi-mechanical beast. Like, you can understand those are the bad guys faction, one of the bad guys faction of the universe. And again, is it solid resin? Let's hope it is, because otherwise I will break this. Okay, you can make it wiggle a little bit, but it feels solid, and there is just this little point of connection. So yeah, you really need to make a lot of efforts if you want to break it, which is always something that scares me with the resin. So okay, at least they put very good quality resin. Good. Okay, we'll see how he plays this guy. I really prefer his play style, I think, because he has a special capacity, like the feat, we'll talk more about it in Tactica, that allows everybody to get a bit more defensive around him. And then when you decide to actually make your attack, you gain some more speed. So it's really like you take your breath, you try to hold, and then you have a turn where you can really just punch very far. Okay, we are nearing the end of the unboxing part. We have 2 more little boxes of resin to open. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, there is a lot of stuff. Oh my god. Okay, I will show you like this. Okay, now we start to go back to what I know, which is a lot of customization, which is great, but it means you have so many bits. Okay, we'll try to show them to you. Just what you need to know is like there is options on those guys. Like you have the body, but you can have different heads, different weapons, different things. It's the same as we had previously on Warmachine. You can choose to have a shield or a spear or a gun, etc. on your giant robot. Well, this is going to be the same for the Raptors and the same for the Malefactor. Okay, so let's take a deeper look at the options. We'll talk about what is good and very quickly in the Tactica, otherwise this video is going to be an hour and a half. But first, let's have a look at the bits. So, okay, we got those Raptor bodies, okay. See, there is an emplacement for the top weapon and one for the head. Okay, yeah, it's really meant so you can magnetize. So you see there is a little hole here, a little hole there, and you can put a magnet, so it's very easy to switch from one to the other. Quite convenient indeed. So you have the different heads. I noticed that they love for Warmachine this type of helmet, or everybody has this, with just like little holes around on the helmet. Every single faction has it, which, I mean, I like the style, I don't mind, but well, I guess it gives coherence to the universe. Like, it's like in the real world, like different nations inspire each other. Okay, you get another head here, all right, with the spike. This is very Goomba-like. Like, you look like a Goomba from Mario. Of course, you have 2 exemplaries of each. Okay, this looks like it could be the first weapon that we see. It looks like it is. I wonder if it's something you need to take out. Not really. Cannot be something there. Okay, so you have first weapon there. It looks like a cannon, I would say. Probably yes. You will need to clean this to get it inside, but yeah, it really looks like it's supposed to be in there. You have this very cute, is it a cerebral cortex or something? But like, yeah, this one looks good. I don't know what it is. Maybe a defensive boost. We'll check. I will check just before the Tactica, like how it works, and my colleagues can explain to me how each of the head is played. Well, of course I can of course read and get my own opinion, but it's always better when you have experts confirming. Oh my god, I love this little head here. Oh my god. I know that it's supposed to look very terrifying with the eyes like almost closed here, and it's probably going to be a close combat weapon, but it looks like it just wants to be petted and is very much enjoying. I know that on the French Discord they call them dogs, those guys, those raptors, and I can absolutely see why. Another type of head, again, magnetize as much as you can. You put a magnet in there, another one inside there, and then it's going to work really well. Yeah, I'm just showing you the different options so you see what they look like. Oh, is that a sniper-like weapon? This could be a... This looks like it is a head, like something to put on the top here. Okay, would go good if you put the face, like the dog that receives the pet, face here, because otherwise if you put weapon here, weapon there, it doesn't have a head anymore, which I guess is fine for Cryx, but still. So many different weapons and style. Okay, this is really like, I know that it's hard to estimate the painting number for this, because like you have so many bits. It's not like you just paint this, you have one body, and then you have so many stuff that you need to paint and magnetize. So yeah, when you get those stuff pro-painted, it does take a little bit of time indeed. Okay, that's going to be it for the Raptors. Let's have a look at the last miniature. And finally, the Malefactor that we've got right here, if we can focus. Oh, okay, I just discovered a new functionality on my device. Okay, it follows this. Oh, interesting. Well, I will try. Let me know if you like this new style. So this Malefactor is one of the heavy Warjacks of Cryx, and as you can see, it is a thing of beauty. Okay. Well, there is not a single faction that I don't like in Warmachine Mk4 so far. Like, they all look incredible, except maybe the Marauders, like the Trolls. That's just because I don't like Trolls. I don't like Pirates. It was not starting good with me on this side. As you can see, same thing as for the Raptors. You have different heads that you can magnetize, different weapons. One here, one there, and yeah, each of them gives a little bonus. Of course, they look very evil because it's Cryx. Well, very evil, but I have to say, like, come on, they are there. Well, okay, I'm not gonna start to be like a broken record, but damn, look at this. And then, as I said, it's really meant to be magnetized with those large holes to put the magnets. So this looks like it's like a left hand. Oh, it was actually a right hand. Okay, we'll try to stop the movement because I feel like it messes up with the focus. So yeah, as I said, it's meant to be here, and it's like there is really like an angle. Here doesn't work, you turn it, and there is really an angle where it fits, and it clicks. And this hand looked absolutely too big for this guy. So we'll talk, of course, about each variant and what they bring to you. And I'm giving a little recommendation of how to mix some of them. You also have these absolutely gigantic, way too big cannons. I mean, it's funny at this point. The recoil itself would just put the guy like all the way down, except he puts his claws in the ground, and even then. But it looks good. It really, like, the more I see those weapons, the more I think of the Hive in Destiny and Destiny 2. Let me know if you think the same. Well, I know Cryx has been there for a long, long time. But still, maybe they're steampunk pirates from the moon. Okay, this hand is more in line. I'm putting everything on the left arm. I think they can work for both. Yeah, they can work for both. So we'll check which one is the option for the right hand and which one is the option for the left hand. This claw there is quite cool. It looks almost like Zerg or Tyrannid, like this. There is this extremely cool looking axe. Damn, if you make a little energy effect here, like it's like killing some souls or something. And then what else we have? Something cool. Oh my god. We have an extremely cool shield as well. Okay, now I'm really tempted to play Cryx with this guy. The shield is insane. Just realized it could work well with the spiky armor like this, the shield with the spikes and stuff. Could work well in the red and black colors from the Horde in Warcraft. Could work. And then you have a harpoon, of course. Goddamn parrot. It's actually smart to make it only fit when it's at the right angle. This thing is not perfectly round, as you can see. It's a little bit like oval shaped, and it's really made just so you don't make a mistake and point it like this and then glue it. It really only fits at the really desired point. Or, well, I guess you can reverse it, but then if you glue it like this, well, I'm not sure it works as well. Very happy of these different customization options. Like, this was always one of the good things with Warmachine, is how you can customize your Warjacks now in the 4th edition. And yeah, it's still the same, like with this nice, whatever weapon it is. God, the 3 barrels like this is the hive. I'm sorry, you cannot get it out of my mind. And this, of course, really excited to see what they will do in plastic. But so far, like, the one thing that I know stopped our community in Paris to grow bigger in a Warmachine was the price. And we'll see if they can manage with the plastic to reduce the prices a little bit. If they do, damn, I know a lot of players, at least around here, that will be extremely happy to start playing this game. Talking about playing the game, we finished the unboxing part, like we took a look at all the bits, but now the important part, how do you actually play all of them? And as always, this is going to be the part that takes the most time, so buckle up. We'll have the timestamps for each and every single unit at the bottom of your screen. And without further ado, let's start the Tactica and see how you can play them. But again, disclaimer, I'm no expert yet, but I can guide you if you're a new player. And so we switch to the Tactica part of the video. And yeah, there is a lot of things to say. It's going to be our first Tactica for Cryx, and for Warmachine in general. So again, not an expert yet. So feel free to comment if I say things that are outright wrong. I will try not to. But yeah, if there are some beginners watching this video, feel free to say, like, if you have your own version of the Tactica, if you already are quite good at Warmachine. And if there is a good post or comment with a lot of good information, I will pin it so other people can see it. And of course, I will correct in the comments if I really say something wrong. So, about Cryx and the Necrofactorium specifically. How do they play? Well, first of all, let's remember that Cryx as a faction has a very interesting trope. They are undead steampunk pirates, and that's already something very unique and very cool. And they have a little bit this necromancer feeling. I would like to point out that even though I still have some books from the 2nd and 3rd edition of Warmachine because I love the lore, I did not play. I never played a single game of Warmachine before. And I believe that before they played more like in this very like regenerating horde, and this is exactly the playstyle that you're getting with the Necrofactorium. So I know there were some different playstyles, and I really love the undead models for Cryx. But Necrofactorium, what do you get? You get a very resilient army that is based through a lot of healing. Basically, as a fluff, the Necrofactorium is the part of the Cryx faction that is meant to really make an almost like industrialization of the necromancy process. So they can really put a lot of undead. So if necromancy was not scary enough for you, well, now imagine this at the industrial level. And like it's even more inhuman, and it's like the Cryx is terrible. They're basically the Trog of Quake, if you kind of think the thing. They capture prisoner, they make a lot of experimentation on them, and then they use it as like basically engines of war, and they take their souls and stuff. There's actually, like, while I say this, there is a sub-faction, a small faction of underground creatures that are literally the Trogs, but we will talk about them later if they come at some point later in the future. So how do they play for beginners? Like, let's imagine you're a beginner like me, and you're like, okay, do I want to play the Necrofactorium? There are a few things to say, and the first thing is that it's not a really easy faction to play, because you need to use your spells and your combos and everything to either buff your army, and you have very powerful, very impactful buffs, or to debuff the opponents. And if you don't do this, your army is gonna punch a little bit lower than what you pay for them. If you do this, great, you're healing yourself, you're debuffing the enemy, you take their souls, you make your spells stronger, it's very powerful. If you don't do this though, yeah, your army kind of crumble. So they have a, like I said somewhere there, they have a high floor and a high ceiling. If you play them bad, you will get walked over, but if you get experienced enough and you get good with them, you're really gonna be one of the very strong faction in the game. So we've seen what were the content, but let's remember that we unboxed 2 boxes, and the first one, which is probably the one you want to start with, is the command starter. Maybe I can put my mouse somewhere. Yeah, as you can see, the command starter, $70, which is a price when you consider that those are 3D printed. But again, we've said that there are ways, some websites where you can get them at 10%, sometimes 15%. So for sure, like, have a look there. And when you see the hard style and the free rules and everything, I mean, it is an investment for sure. If you needed a conquest size army of those guys, I would say like it's out of price. But since you can already play just with this little box, I'm starting to think, okay, it's okay. Still, it's a big jump, but you get incredible miniatures, and let's remember that for this box at $65, the battle group, you get tons of plastics, so tons of resin, as you see, because everybody has a lot of alternative heads, weapons, like everything. So you do get a lot. We'll first cover the command starter, what is inside. So the Warcaster, which is your leader, which gives buffs for your entire force. Then the Warjack, the units, and then we'll see for the battle groups. Let's remember that if you really want to, you can just buy the Battlegroup box, and you have a Warcaster and a Warjack, and you can start to make a few games like this. I know there is I think it's unofficial game mode that has been made by the community that allows you to really have some like skirmish game where you have like one Warjack, one Warcaster, and a few things. If you are interested in this, let me know in the comments. I will put a link to this unofficial game mode, but it allows you to play much smaller game size if you so desire. So we will start with Wraithbinder Nekane, which is this lovely miniature, and it is one of the Warcaster. And because it is a Warcaster, you don't pay points. You have a Warcaster in your band, and that's it. All the Warcasters are free. You can have only one. There is a specific official game mode where you have 2, but apparently it's not very much played, unfortunately, which is a shame because I like having more models on the table. There is a big chance that when we start to make battle reports for Warmachine, we start to put more and more models because that's just how we are on the channel, you know us. But regardless of this, how does Nekane actually play? She's a very, very interesting model because she combos very well, from what I read, with the incorporeal models like the ghosts, and like quite a lot. Ghosts have a good defense, which means they are harder to hit, but they have lower armor, which means that when they get hit, it's harder for them to shrug off the damage. Her first rule is like I catch my eye, is Wraithbinder. It means that while she is within 10 inches of a incorporeal model, they get a +3 armor. +3 armor is huge. Like, there are not many things that give +3 armor in this game, from what I see. Sometimes you get +1, +2, +3 for everyone within 10 inches. It really pushes you to have more and more incorporeal models in your list. And Wraithbinder combines extremely well with your health spike, so this specific weapon, because it has blood shadow, so it is magical, so it goes through, like, you can hit incorporeal models with it. Power 12, it's not insane, but you will hit reliably, and you can, again, boost yourself now. If you kill someone, if you box someone with this, thanks to blood shadow, you yourself become incorporeal. So it's harder to hit you without magical weapon, and you gain thus, because you're a Wraithbinder, +3 armor, which means you would go from 15, which is very low, to 18, which is acceptable. So good combo there. And Nekane is also very, very mobile. First of all, if an enemy attacks you and miss, you can advance, so move 2 inches. Already good. You can put a Mirage, either like on a model or a unit, and then gain Apparition. This is one of their signature spell. And then during their control phase, so when they activate like beginning of the turn, you can move them within 2 inches of their position. So it's exactly the same as Mirage generators for Dystopian Wars. I think it's 3 inches for the, or maybe it's 2, but it's exactly the same. You just teleport a little bit before you activate, so great. And you also have this Banishing Ward, which is not as impactful, maybe I'm wrong, but you can remove enemy upkeep spells on a friendly model, and then they're immune, so more situational. But the Cryx faction as a whole has a lot of things, a lot of spells that you really want to boost, like to give more damage, to give more resilience, more armor to units. Spells are extremely important for Cryx, and she has Mirage, which is important if you want to be catchy, but otherwise she has a lot of good spells to take from. She also has a Rune Thrower, which banishes. It's a good weapon, like there are a few keywords. I think this means you can, this is magical weapons. I think you can use both with this shooting and punching at the same time. And Rate of Fire D3+1 is actually quite fine, like I quite like it. Range 10 is close, but it's okay. The slow thing is power 10, but I think because of this little symbol here, you reduce quite well the armor, so you will be able to damage enemies even if they have a little bit of armor. But both of these weapons are magical, so they really are made to hunt enemy magical incorporeal things. So I said that she was quite fast, and she is. Look, at the end of this model activation, you can use 1 focus point, which is a rare resource, but you can do. You have like 6 of them. You can use 1 focus point and then teleport within 5 inches. So you can really be super catchy. You can use Mirage on yourself, let's imagine. You teleport, make your activation, and then you re-teleport again. I do not read anything that says, like, for example, you need to not be in melee or anything. So it means you can go, charge someone, shoot him, punch him, kill him, become incorporeal, and then you use your grappling hook. You go hide behind a wall or whichever, like it doesn't say you need to see it, the point even. And yeah, even though you are a glass cannon, you will be able, through this grappling hook, to hide and just stay alive, which is great. She has Vital Magic, which means you can keep your spell on with your upkick by suffering D3 points of damage for each spell. You have in total 16 health box, so you can do this a few times, it's going to be fine. And as you've seen in the first Discovery Battle Report we did for Warmachine, sometimes having one spell staying on at the right moment is the difference between winning or losing, especially when you are going for caster kill or your opponent is. So this is really important. And finally, we kept the biggest part for the end, the feat of Nekane, which is this big once per game ability that you can activate, is called the Wrath of Lilith. So you can suffer 1 point of damage to cast a spell instead of paying the cost. And you can only cast it once, okay, and then you can suffer more damage to boost an attack or a damage roll instead of a focus point for 1 round, so until your next turn. This is probably the capacity that defines the gameplay, because it means the 1 turn that she wants, she can keep all her things, all her upkeeps on by just damaging herself, and then she can boost, can stand a lot of spells, and quick spells are efficient, and boost so many attacks for damage for herself. So you need to be careful that you don't kill yourself, but you do have, again, 16 health box, so you can do quite a few things. And this is really, like, as I understand the game, this means that on 1 turn, you can really go for the caster kill. Like, because you're going to teleport around with Mirage, grappling hook, well, grappling hook, not really, but you can really get in position well, and on the turn you want to, you send all the spells, all the damage, all the boosts, and you go to really wipe out the enemy's big threat. That is how I see it. Again, if you are an expert in the game, let us know if you think it plays otherwise, but this feat, that is how I see it. You're gonna be a glass cannon, very mobile, very hard to catch, and when you're gonna have 1 turn of just sending all the firepower that you can, you're almost gonna be dead at the end of it, and it's either you win by the end of this turn, either your Warcaster is gonna get killed, like Nekane is gonna get killed next turn because you're gonna be exposed and almost dead. Overall, she seems fun. It's not my playstyle. Like you know, I am not a big fan of glass cannon, very catchy Warcasters or characters in general. But if you play her, I think she's gonna be a lot of fun. You get 1 character Warjack in the box, and this is going to be Hades. Character Warjack means that you can only have one of them, obviously, and you cannot customize them. So in the other box that we've seen in the unboxing, you can really customize the weapon, the head, etc. Here it's gonna do one thing, and one thing, well, it's basically a bully. It's a huge bully. He's quite tough with armor 18, which is okay, but especially this guy, like, he's a huge threat for your opponent. He does a lot of things. His characteristic, like, big point of attention is that he has the Soul Taker Collector capacity, which means that he gains soul tokens. So again, you kill someone living within 10 inches of this guy, and as you can see, you gain the soul. You can have up to 3 souls at the same time. Okay, how do you spend them? Well, first of all, you can make a Shadowgate. Shadowgate means that after finish punching someone, you can teleport 2 inches. I think it means you can disengage as well, so just after you attack, and that means that you are out of range for the counter attack, so you can really be very annoying, a little bit like Nekane. Actually, it goes the same gameplay, the same. You have Soul Generator, which means that you can burn the souls to gain focus points, so good if you want to boost your attack, boost your defense, have some capacity, so still good. If you don't know what to do with it, you can keep it. You can do this. And then Soul Phase, which means that you can use 1 soul token to gain Incorporeal for 1 turn. And this is something that I would use every single time. Like, between Shadowgate and Soul Phase, this is a very strong model. Because this Incorporeal means you cannot be hit by many weapons. You need magical weapons to hit him, and not everybody has it accessible everywhere. And plus, remember that if you play Hades next to Nekane, when he's Incorporeal, first of all, it's going to be harder to hit, because he's a ghost, basically. And he's going to gain +3 armor, so going at 21 armor. That starts to be hard. And then on top of this, if you want, you can use the Shadowgate to just teleport around. And if you have another soul yet, use the Soul Generator, gain a boost, and like, this is very, very strong. I think Soul Phase is the one thing you want to do every single time. Whenever you can have it on, except if you want to punch a huge enemy Warjack as well, and you want to use Shadowgate to just get out of a retaliation range. That's how I would see. And then put maybe someone in front of you, like, I don't know. But Soul Phase every single time, all the time. He has few weapons. He has the tasks to make a critical knockdown, okay, not the craziest. Soul Cannon, which means that when you hit someone, you don't block line of sight anymore. I don't know how this works, but okay. 1 shot, AoE 2. We've seen that AoE is quite important if the enemy escapes, or power 15/8, so good. Like, power 15 seems good to me. And Wraith Shot. So Wraith Shot means that you can spend a soul token, yet another one, and then when you do this, you ignore line of sight, you ignore concealment, you ignore cover, and both the attack and the damage rolls are boosted. So I would use my soul tokens for the Wraith Shot instead of the Soul Generator, because one focus point, okay, you boost an attack. Maybe it's better to boost your attack and your damage roll, and to boost and to ignore line of sight and shoot. This is insane. Very powerful soul cannon if you can boost it. And then in melee you have the Death Claw, and I just noticed, goddamn, it's a shield as well. Oh my god. So it means that, first of all, the Death Claw is power 17. Okay, fine, you punch very hard. So it means while your shield is active, until, like, if you started to get damage, it can be broken, but while it's active, you're gonna be armor 20 base. Great, very tanky. And then when this little guy gets incorporeal, he goes to armor 23. This is almost Kador level of firepower, of resilience, I mean. This is insane. Great model, like, absolutely amazing. If you take Nekane, I think you take him every single time. And he is very, very strong. The last thing that I didn't say about this guy is that he costs 16 points, so not extremely cheap, but when you consider how much utility he brings to you, like, I think there is no question about whether you want him or not in your list. You absolutely do. And he has 28 whole points, like boxes, and it will take a while for him to get destroyed, especially if he starts to be incorporeal, if he starts to have 23 armor, and he's teleporting around maybe with Mirage. Like, that's oppressive. That's really oppressive. Extremely good unit, very characterful. I actually quite like how it looks like, and yeah, brilliant unit, great character Warjack. Good that you can bring only one, because if you started to have a lot of those guys in a bubble around the Nekane, I don't know how you would handle that. It would be just too strong. I think just one of them, it gives your force really a focal central point that will be very hard to deal with, but at least your opponent can try to counter it. We then go to the Master Necrotech Chatterbane, and as everything in the command starter, it is also a character, but it's much cheaper at 4 points. First of all, I love the style of the miniatures. We have already said that he looks a lot like Illuminor Xerath, but I love it. Like, it's a great inspiration to take. And I like that he's walking on a dead Cador, like, is it a Man of War or something? Probably. It's a repair guy. What does he bring to you? First of all, 4 points is not that expensive, but he's not that tough either. Defense 13, armor 17. He's not gonna stay along on the battlefield for long if your enemy tries to corner him and bring a lot of damage on this guy. He does have 10 health, so he's not popping off instantly as soon as a small pistol shoots at him, but it's not that far from that. We've seen that Warmachine is a very lethal game. He has all these actions, and this is basically where you take him from. He has a light spiker, which is a fine attack, like with a lot of like corrosive actions, with volume fire. So if you shoot at the larger model, you gain like +1 and then +2 to the attack and to the damage rolls. So this shooting is actually not that bad, even though it starts at a low power 11, but rate of fire 3, corrosive, like okay, fine. And the Eviscerus, which is range 2, okay, so you can shoot from a little bit further away without retaliation against some enemies, and power 13, critical shred, so you can shred an enemy if you attack a big Warjack or something, but you don't want him in melee, like this is secondary. You want him for a few things. First of all, he can repair, so D3 plus 3, so at range 1, you can repair a construct, and you remove D3 plus 3 damage. We've seen, like, if he stays behind the Hades, for example, to repair, the Hades is just so tough, especially when incorporeal, that if you put back like 5 or 6 wounds on him, like it's gonna be huge, and your opponent's just gonna lose hope. Though be careful, because well, if the Hades is incorporeal, he doesn't block line of sight, and it means Chatterbane is right there to be killed. So be careful with that. He can repair, but it's better if you have someone to take the shots for him. Apart from going with Hades, we will see that there are some other Cryx miniatures that you can use to shoot from the back line, and then you can have the shooty Warjack just popping out of a building or a forest or something and shooting on, and the Chatterbane being not far and boosting this guy. Because he can repair, okay. He also has ancillary attack, so you choose a cohort model. Cohort is like basically the soldiers, and they can make one basic melee or ranged attack. Is it very impactful? I am not sure, because from what I understand, it's a model, not the entire unit that fights. Can be fun if you don't have a Warjack around to do this, but I'm not sure it's game changing. Tell me if there is a combo that I'm missing there, but for me, Cryx, the cohort are... no, my mistake. Cohorts are not the infantry. Cohort is part of the command group of the Warcaster, and it means it is a giant robot that it can do. So then we look back, and it means it can punch with his Deathclaw, for example, for free, basic shooting attack, or like melee is strong. The ranged attack, the Soul Cannon, is good as well, very powerful, but you really want the Wraith shots usually. But one or the other, you can have this guy trigger free attack on the Hades or another unit. Okay, so it's a cohort. My bad, I see the combo now, and yeah, very strong as well. And another, like Enliven, you target a friendly, again, cohort model, okay. As soon as the attack is resolved, the target can make a full advance. That's very strong as well. This guy is speed 6. It can run or charge without spending a focus point. This I didn't point out, but it's very, of course, it's very good. You're always going to want to do that. And being able to be even faster if you shoot at this guy, you're really not going to want to shoot at Hades anymore, other Warjacks that are very offensive. So it's a huge force multiplier for your Warjacks, this little Chatterbane. And it looks the part, and I'm very happy of this guy. It costs only 4, and the miniature, like it looks so good, I would want to put it every single time, and it makes me very happy that it's very, very usable. So we've seen the support, and now we are going to see the most complex unit that we're going to cover today, the Furies. It's a character, first of all, you can only put one of them. They cost 10 for all three of those. They are on 40mm space. I'm trying to say like the basic things first. What they are a character, you have one, they have defense 14, armor 14, and they are spellcasters, all three of them. They can perform a magical action, and it counts as casting a spell. As you can see, Battle Wizard, once per turn, when it destroys or removes a model with a melee attack, right after it can make one magical ability. So that is what I read. And it also prevents other people from making spells or use channel plays around them. This sounds very good. Each of them have different spells. They have some in common and some that is quite unique. For example, Marionette, everybody can cast it. I think Invocation of the Darkest Night, they can also, all of them, cast it. No, my bad. They can all cast Marionette and Stygian Abyss. Marionette is basically a ranged attack, so at least a debuff is fine. Stygian Abyss is also an attack, and you can blind someone, which is good as well. And then each of them have a special capacity. Invocation of the Darkest Night, which everybody around within 8 gains, the model that does this gain Mortal Fear. So everybody gets -2 to the damage roll. That's actually really good. There is Power of Death, which is game changer, and from what I've asked around the French Discord, this is the most powerful one. It means that every undead model within 10 inches, which is quite a big bubble, everybody gets +2 to their melee attack roll, like all the time. And you can of course boost the attack, etc, etc. So it's very strong, and it gives you another very powerful attack. And then Grip of Shadow, you gain telemetry, which means that you boost the attack, the magic attack rolls while you are around this model. It's not that crazy. The big one is Power of Death. You want this guy to come and cast. Apparently, he can only cast when he destroys someone. But okay, you're gonna charge Power 14 magical weapon. You can kill a basic guy, and then everybody around is gonna have Power of Death. Let's remember that Warmachine is not turned like a it is an I go you go system. It's not alternative activation, so you can really think like, okay, here is my army. I'm first gonna charge with my Furies and kill someone, and then I'm gonna activate others that will benefit from the boost. So it is really playable, this playstyle, trying to trigger Power of Death first and then obliterating everyone around. Overall, like I'm taking this from what they say. They say the Furies are one of the most important unit that you can bring in Cryx. I can believe that because they have so many different capacities and attacks and everything. I would believe that it's true. Also the Wailing, so nobody can cast spell within 5 of you. It sounds good. It sounds very powerful. There are defense 14, armor 14, and ethereal. So again, they gain +3 because of Nekane, if Nekane is your Warcaster. So again, good combo there. They're going to armor 17, starts to be respectable. And each of them have 8 boxes of life. Overall, that's it actually for the whole box. And yeah, so you have Wraithbinder, Nekane, which is very catchy and gives you this very boost on ethereal. Hades that can become ethereal and is a huge powerhouse at 16 points. Chatterbane that is going to boost your Hades if you just play him or your other Warjack later on for 4 points. And then the Furies, which I'm not sure how they play. I would need to see them on the table to really understand. But they look great, only 10 points, and I think they're gonna do a lot of work. Like, they have too many capacities for it to be bad, and apparently, especially the Power of Death is gameplay defining for the faction of Cryx. Now we switch to the second box, and we start with a Discerptor Eviscerus, which is a stupid name, but I love it. This guy looks really cool. Like, I have to say, it looks better, in my opinion, than Wraithbinder Nekane, even though Nekane is great. Just because, look at this thing. This is bio ore, absolutely. So he has 17 boxes of health, defense 14, armor 16, so not so good. And he's a repair bot, in the sense that it is your Warcaster, again, but he can repair stuff, the same as the Master Chatterbane, and D3+1. So he repairs a little bit less good. It cannot be knocked down, okay. We're gonna get to this feat in a second. He has some good attacks, especially erosion, so you're very good against construct, but you don't really want this guy to be in melee. Cohort models, like all the Warjacks in your battle group, gain retaliatory strike, which means that when you get hit, Immediately after the attack is resolved, you can punch back with a basic melee attack. You can only make 1%, okay, but it means that from what I understand, even if someone tries to use Shadow Gate, for example, you can't punch back before it teleports away to safety and this kind of thing. So for me, this sounds like very powerful, and it means that, well, yeah, you're just gonna be very much more of a defensive faction, because even if you get punched, you can punch back almost as strong. So this is more my playstyle, like you handle the enemy's attack, you repair, and then you fight back. So it's more of the Necrofactorium playstyle as I imagine it. Also Chop Chop, which means that when your robot, your Warjacks, destroys an enemy construct, doesn't have to be a Warjack, just a construct, you remove d3 plus 1 points. So you regenerate by absorbing the enemy robots. So that's very cool, very cool. Let's have a look at these spells. He has Carrion Feast, which is a cloud effect. Quite far, costs 3 though, and upkeep, but costs 3, so it's not that cheap. But as long as the hazard is there, and as long as your enemies are on the template, -2 armor. So quite good. And it's a hazard as well. So it's a good area of denial, and you say like, okay, if you go on there, I'm gonna kill you. That's outright. Even better, like, well, this because I'm a defensive player, Deceleration. While you are in the spellcaster control range, all the friendly faction models, everyone, Warjacks, soldiers, everyone, gain +2 armor against ranged and arcane damage roll. So it doesn't work up against melee basically, but still, +2 armor for everyone. Like, you don't have to be ethereal, like, just outright. That's very good, and that's something you probably want to cast turn 1 every single time. Finally, Red Line, you target a Warjack in your group, +2 speed, you can run, charge, slam, trample without spending focus, so that's already very good. And you gain +2 to its melee damage roll and collateral damage roll. That sounds insane, you're like, oh my god, why wouldn't I do this for cost 2? It's because at the end of the activation, each time your Warjack activates with this, he finishes his activation, it takes d3 damage. You can think it's fine, especially since you can repair him if he's next to Discerptor, Eviscerus, or with Chop Chop and everything. But still, it does mean that when you want to punch, like, I understood that Warmachine is not a game when you just tank all the time. So if you want to punch very hard, you put this and you are going to punch very hard. Maybe you're also going to put -2 armor to the enemy, and then you have more speed and you can run and charge and +2 to your melee damage, and then you just obliterate the guy. And it goes very well with the playstyle of Eviscerus because his feat is Boneyard. And basically all the large base and smaller, so medium base, small base, etc., in your battle group, you gain Dig In. It means that like when you begin your activation Dug In, you gain +2 speed and a focus point. Okay, so let me explain what it means. You trigger this, you gain Dug In. So you're probably gonna stay where you are and you're gonna hold your line. When you're dug in, you gain cover, you gain resistant blast, and you don't block line of sight. So you basically go underground, like, kind of like you're in a trench. That is great. You stay dug in until you move your place where you're engaged. So you really move forward, and then you stay where you are, and you tell to the enemy, okay, come to me. I have resistant blast, I have cover, I don't block line of sight, and I can shoot you, and you like come to me basically. And of course, you're gonna give +2 armor and everything. The enemy is gonna get closer, and then when he gets close enough, maybe you had some losses, but you can repair and everything. When he gets close enough, you get out of where you are, and when you begin dug in, you gain +2 speed, which of course combos with red line with everything. And +2 speed is really a huge threat for the opponent because, as you have seen in our only battle report of Warmachine so far, but more coming, it's really important to calculate the speed because it changes so much. Like 1 inch of speed can be the difference between like being no threat to the opponent and actually being able to charge him and kill him. So this is hugely important. So it's very like, let's say, more defensive. So you take your position, you wait, and then you charge. Is it very strong? I don't know. Because when you're dug in, the enemy knows where you are and he can really calculate, okay, if I stay here, because it's +2 speed, it's not like +d6, so he can really stay where he is. But if you have a good shooty firepower, I think you can really force the enemy to come to you and then just charge him downright. Overall, if I were to play Cryx myself, I would probably play Eviscerus first, because it's you basically put a problem to your opponent and he has to solve how do I handle all this army being dug in with deceleration, and he's gonna put red line next time. Like, how do I handle this? This is the question you put to your opponent and he has to answer. If he answers good, if he's a pro player, okay, maybe he will handle, but otherwise no. While Wraithbinder Nekane is more like you have to play good with her to make your combos and to make sure you win. And then we go to the Malefactor Heavy Warjack, which is this, like he has a lot of options. I just put my favorite, but he has shooty options, different heads, and I really put like the base of what I think is quite cool and quite efficient, but I'm not gonna cover every single weapon options. That would be way too much. Just know that it can be 10 points if you put all the cheaper options, and I took quite some cheap options, or you can go all the way to 16, so as expensive as an Hades. However, you can bring 4 Malefactors in your list. That is quite good. Is by default aggressive, so run and charge without spending a focus point. Again, very aggressive. Indeed, it's in the name. You can move a lot with this guy. I love the fell axe. Like, it's like a axe that you have on your right hand. It has magical attacks. This is always useful, and grievous wound, which means that if you're hit by this thing, you lose tough, and you cannot be repaired for 1 round. And many models are tough, and it basically means that when you die, you don't really die and you can stay alive. This is just a giant axe, and if you get hit by this thing, power 18, you just get obliterated, and it's magical. Like, there is no escaping this. On the left, of course, I put a shield because you can put a spiked shield. You gain +2 armor, so you go to armor 20. And of course, there are ways to go higher. We've just seen the Eviscerator that you can go to 22. That is good. And you can also punch with it, power 14. I mean, if you lose your fell axe, it's always good. And for the head, I chose like soul claiming because first of all, it looks great. It looks like a rhinoceros head. And I believe that having souls is very important. And this allows you to claim souls even if nobody is around. So you can spread the souls around. You can also gore and at power 12, but every head has this basically. And yeah, you can have a big melee threat. Again, you can have some cannons. You can really customize however you want. And it's a good heavy warjack that will deal with the enemy efficiently. I still think Hades is better, but it's a character warjack. Malefactors look good, have a lot of options, and they are more suited to being a melee threat because anyway they're going to be aggressive, so you can run and charge without focus points, so of course you're going to want to be tough. Spiked shields, always a good call because you're going to be tough, and some of your army is not very tough indeed, and he can really hold the enemy's attention because if the enemy doesn't deal with him, he can charge without a focus point, and he can really punish him if he doesn't deal with your Malefactors. And the Raptors, you get 2 of them in the box. Those, I'm not sure they're bad. Like, they seem very strong because they are extremely cheap, 5 at the minimum. So you could have a lot, and you can put 6 of those. So, and let's remember that you can boost your things, you can dig them in, you can give them +2 armor and everything. So they are not very well armored, by the way. They're defense 14, armor 14. Are okay. They have like 20 boxes, so tough. They are still quite tough. Of course, you don't need to destroy all the boxes to kill him, so because you have a little like kind of Excel and you fill up some boxes until you deal critical damage. But still, it's for 5 points, 20 boxes. Okay, that's good. By default, they have dodge, so when an enemy misses, it can move 2 inches. Okay, like advance. All right. To really push it up, I chose like at the highlight the Beaked Maw head, which gives you reposition 2. So at the end of the activation, if you did not run or fail a charge, and sometimes you won't, you can move another 2 inches. So it can really make these very, very mobile forces. And you gain this weapon, power 10, not insane, and Life Drinker. So when you box a living model, you can repair yourself. So again, this can really be a swarm because this is very cheap. This whole combo is the cheapest at 5. So for 30 points, you could have 6 Raptors. That's gonna be like, what, 120 boxes. They're gonna be very mobile, especially if you put them Mirage, for example. So they're gonna teleport before they activate, after they activate, at the end of their activation, when the enemy attacks you enemies. Like, they're just gonna be so mobile, right up in your face. Lots of them, like if you combo them with some spells and everything, they can punch hard. And I give them the back armor, which gives them a default armor of 17 instead of 14, and it's quite cheap. And it means you're going to have those guys, armor 17, 20 boxes. And of course, with some boost, you can put them to 19 or more. And then you're like, okay, I have 6 of those guys for 30 points. And even at 50 points game, that's not your entire list like at all. And you just charge those 6 guys, armor 17, in the face of your opponent. They're gonna be very mobile, and how do you deal with them? I don't know. It's just like almost a stat check at this point. And if you combo them well, I think they are extremely oppressive. Probably there are some weapons that deal with them extremely well in the game. I'm not expert yet enough to tell that. But I like to make lists that are just this absolute stat check. It's the back armor, the heavy armor is this one that you can see here. So you lose the distance armor, but you don't care. You just want to charge. To reposition fast, you charge. You don't make a run because you know you have automatic 2. And then you just teleport around and you dodge like such a good unit. And that's it for this second box. It goes quite fast. Okay, so you've had your command starter, you've had your battlegroup box, one or the other, or both, and you're like, how can I expand from that? Like, I tried Warmachine, I like it, this new version is fun, it's still quite tactical, I want to have a little bit more, quite a bit more. What box do you take? This is where there is one clear answer for you, and there's going to be like the how to expand it. There is one answer because there is one good answer. It's the core expansion. You can say, as always, oh my god, it's expensive. Maybe the prices will go down now that they're going back to plastic. Who knows? But the thing that you cannot take away from Warmachine and Predator Press before and now with Team Forge Game is that they make it simple for you for collecting in a way like I've never seen in any other games, not even Dystopian Wars. Maybe Armored Clash is like this even with the system of sprues and reinforcing, but even them, they're not as clear as this because it's like really like take this box, then this one, and then you can mix and match your list. And if you really want to go all in on Cryx, like you made your games, you want to go to 100 points, which is the standard competitive point for in Europe. I think in America they're a little bit lower at 75. But if you want a lot of options, you go with this core expansion pack. I don't know yet at this point in time if we will receive it or not. If we do, of course, expect this exactly the same as what we've done, with a little explanation of each and every single unit and how you can build them and play them. And otherwise, just so you can see like what is inside, you get the Master Necrosounder Sepsira, yes. Sepsira is this guy, and as you can guess from the core expansion, like he plays well with hordes of infantry, so it's not so much about ethereals or like it's a different gameplay entirely, but very good. As a Necrosounder, yeah, you can guess what type of capacity he has. You have Grendel, which is this incredible looking character Warjack, which is just first of all, just look at it. Like I love the helmet. There is a lot of this type of helmet in Warmachine, and I love it. It just looks amazing. The painting, of course, is brilliant, and the gameplay is great. To be honest, like I said, I'm not an expert in Warmachine, so when I started to prepare the slides, I saw the data sheet of Grendel, and I started to prepare it. I mixed it up with the other, and I was like, damn, this thing is good. It's really, really good. And then I realized it's not in the box that I was presenting, and I was a bit disappointed. But if we receive this core expansion, let me tell you, this Grendel looks so fun to play. Like, just power aside, like, I'm not going to say competitive or not, but it just looks a ton of fun to play. And I really hope I can tell you more about that, this guy. Then you have the Machine Wraith Dominator, this floating guy with the incredible painting. Like, I don't know who does the painting for the Warmachine. If you know, type it in the comment. But damn, like, look at this. So the Wraith Dominator, so it goes, this guy is ethereal and it goes a little bit more in this type of playstyle. It's still good to have him. You have this Scarlock Lieutenant, I think you say in English. And brilliant miniature. Like, it's, I wish I could zoom a little bit more. Wait a second, I will try to zoom a bit more. It's not centered anymore, but at least you can appreciate a little bit better if you're watching the screen and not just listening to the voice. You can see like how cool the pose is, like pointing it with this giant techno sword, and it's like half undead, half steampunk pirate. Like this miniature looks amazing, and of course it's like a commander. It boosts the normal soldiery around. You have those Necrosurgeon Initiates, which basically do what Sepsira does, but you can spread them around. They're a little bit like engineers, like these repair guys for Signars, a little bit like this. And then the main part, like why the box costs so much, is the Mechanical Swarm, and you have 10 of them. They go 5 by 5, and that's a lot of miniatures that you get right there.
The one thing that I'm a little bit upset, and I don't have the box to tell you if it's true or not, is that it seems like if you want to buy the box twice, and you might want few Wraith Dominators, few Lieutenants, of course you want 20 Mechanic Thralls because you can spam those guys, more Surges. You would like to buy this twice, and I understand that the Sepsira you will not be able to use it twice, but the Grendel I kind of hope, and I'm not sure if it's going to be the case, kind of hope that you get other bits to make a normal Warjacks. So if you buy the box twice, you don't have to literally proxy and say like, yeah, my Grendel is this, but you have some bits to at least make one of the few normal variants. So that is what you get in the core expansion. Maybe we'll talk to you about it later, but again, this is really like a massive expansion. You don't need to have this to play the normal size of the game. If you want a tournament to make a tournament, especially in Europe at some point, yes, you might need this. Otherwise, this is really like a bonus if you want to go all in. And alright, we're reaching the end of this video, the very first Tactica for Warmachine. Sorry again if I am not an expert, but trying to cover more and more games is cool because I love all these universes, the miniatures and everything. But it means I'm not an expert as I am in Dystopian Wars. So hope it was clear enough. If you have any question about the rules and everything, type it in the comment and I will answer if I can. And if not, I will go and come back with you. Like we have a few experts in the French community. I can clear that up, so I can help you with the rules or the play style and everything. Of course, you can join us on the different Discords and Facebook group. The Warmachine community is not at what it once was, because apparently like I was not there at this time, but it was a big direct competitor for Warhammer. It's not the case anymore, but it's rising again. In Paris, in the US especially, I've seen in Germany as well. Like it's growing slowly but good. Like so. Don't consider it as a direct competitor to 40k, it's not what it is anymore, but as a good skirmish, large skirmish steampunk game. Like it's really way up there in terms of quality, especially in terms of rules, but the miniatures as well, as you have seen. So do expect some more battle reports in the near future. I now have two armies, one of Signar and one of Menoth, the old Menoth, because I love giant paladins, and we are gonna get, of course, the Cryx painted. So let us know which type of battle report you would like to see. We're gonna start to record them hopefully soon. Like I just need to find the players in Paris to get them ready for recording, and to expect battle reports, and of course more Tactica, because I just had the confirmation that we are going to get the new 2-player starter set for Warmachine. So do expect an unboxing, a Tactica, and battle report where we're just going to put the content of the box on a table and see how it plays. Thank you very much for having watched until the end. As always, give us a thumbs up if you like. It makes us very happy. Even happier when you give us a comment. And if you put a comment, you gain a chance to win an entire force of Dystopian Wars, Americans or Crazy Scientists. Crazy Scientists, which would go very well with Cryx, by the way. Thank you guys, take care of yourself, and until the next video, remember to keep things fair in love and war games. Bye!